Okay, you've all known that I served as mayor of the city of Burbank. So of course, when provided the opportunity to ask the candidates a question, I'm always going to think local. And you'll all have the opportunity to ask, reply to the same question. The challenge will be to put your own twist to it. And I ask that you try and stay on track, and here we go. Protect local taxpayer and vital services is an initiative effort underway, sponsored by the League of California Cities and a coalition of taxpayers, public safety, transportation, business, and labor. As a former elected official, I understand firsthand the impacts on our communities when the state of California takes, borrows, and redirects local taxpayer and transportation funds to ballot state budgets. The initiative, if passed, would close the loopholes and protect local funds, transportation, and public safety funds from the state taking. Do you know about this effort? Do you support it? Why or why not? And that question first goes to, in ballot order, Shahid.
Frankly, I don't know about the details of that proposal. However, I would definitely be for it because I do believe that money that has been raised for purposes of improving the city, any city or any community's substructures, in providing better services as far as law enforcement, as far as education, should remain within the city. Of course, here we do have to understand at the same time that there are necessities, there are requirements, there is cooperation, just like we were giving the example earlier, between cities and the state government. There has to be some part of that money provided or sent to Sacramento. However, it doesn't mean that everything should be done by Sacramento. We are already in a major battle because of which the state cannot make its decisions. The two-thirds majority that we are held hostage to does not serve in dividing the budget in an adequate way that all the cities can receive their part of or their share of the budget to improve their infrastructures. So there has to be something that limits what the state can do, how much it can extend its hand into the pot, and what the requirements and the prerequisites and demands are for the cities to meet. At the same time, that I'm sure will encourage city councils in making decisions that are based on their budget, that are based on their income, without being in fear that monies raised for local consumption will be eventually sent to Sacramento and they will be left at the mercy of the establishment in Sacramento.
So I do support that ballot measure and hope
if you need me to repeat the question, I can do that. Would you like that?
No, okay. Thank you. I do support it, and I had a chance to sign the petitions that were going around. Our council member Laura Friedman is working on that, as well as other city council members. And it is very, very important. And it's really hard to believe that we have to pass a measure in order to protect funding that already belongs to local governments because of, as you said, Sacramento borrowing, taking, postponing the funding that comes down to them. And we see this in the city council in Glendale, in the city, and on the school board. Over and over again, we in local government do not even know how much money we really have. At the school board level, we make a budget, we create a budget. Literally 2 months later, we are told, oh, sorry, we told you we gave you this much, but really you have X amount. This is, really it's insanity to be able to govern at a local level, at a school board level, when you have such chaos in terms of not even knowing what is due to you. So this is impacting redevelopment money, CDBG money, and if the cooperative or the association of local governments is in such a place where they feel like they have to put this on a ballot and pass it, then I'm going to listen to them and am in support of it and did sign it.
Thank you. Mr. Gata.
Thank you, Marsha. And so, yes, every time I talk with several of my supporters, including Councilman Dave Delonsky right here in Burbank, Councilman John Draymond, Councilman Frank Quintero in the city of Glendale, this issue comes up. They say the most important issue for you as an assembly member that you can take up in your 6 years up there is to stop raiding local government funds. So I'm intimately aware of this issue. I am aware of the ballot measure. I do support it. But I think that the key thing that would, I think, solve a lot of these problems, I know that we've talked about this before, is actually solving the budget crisis, because, every single thing in the state that requires funding through Sacramento is being affected. We talked about education a lot. Proposition 98 guarantees a certain minimum, 39% of the state's budget is supposed to go to education. But the reality is, when the budget contracts, when the budget shrinks, the question becomes not is it 39%, but is it 39% of what? And it's the same thing with local government funds. I think local governments are disproportionately affected right now because the pie has gotten so small that Sacramento feels the need to raid it. So the question should be not only do you support this, which I think is a common sense thing that everybody in the room would agree that we support, but I think the question should be, what are you going to do to help solve the budget crisis? And I've got a number of ideas. I've articulated them both in writing and at previous forums, and I'm not sure if I have the time in 15 seconds to talk about them too much, but I'm sure there'll be another question on that as we go on. Thank you.
Okay, I have one more question for you now that I've heard you're all in support. And by the way, there's a legislative effort underway that is different than the initiative being proposed, so I was paying special attention to what you had to say.